What's going on? Good afternoon, good evening, good night. My name is Robincito. This is Plain Talk AI.
Jamal Thomas here, aka JT Possibilities, and yeah, we about to have some plain talk about the most powerful force multiplier in the history of the world. I'm gonna say it every single episode. It's that thing we call artificial intelligence. What's
That's what's
poppin', bro?
up. I like that. Life is good. No. Life is great. Life is great. On a little side note, hopefully AI will extend our lives as it's supposed to. Actually, that's one of the things, one of the topics I want to touch on.
You do
Some
that?
of the things people are doing, scientists are using AI for, as far as developing new proteins. There was just a news story where they used AI to speed up um, a protein like 500 million years in the future to see what it would do, and they got some key insights from that they could use today. So that's pretty interesting. But what brought my mind to that is that I saw this dude on an elevator today. I was visiting my mom's, and she's in a hospital. I was in a hospital. It's not a hospital, but it's like a hospital. And this lady asked this guy, and she was like, How old are you?" And the dude was like 1 year younger than me, right? And I'm looking at this dude. He has a cane and he's like shaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that just brought me to the promise of AI being able to cure certain diseases. Extend people's life,
yeah.
extend people's quality of life. And what does that mean? For people, because you could say by the grace of God, it's not me. Wow. Look, I was like, how old are you?
Right, right.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw somebody, and I forgot who it was. It might have been Bill Gates, but it was somebody of notoriety who said they believe that there's a chance that in the next 10 years, artificial intelligence can cure all diseases. And I'm just like, wait, what? And I want to look deeper into it, but I understand where he's coming from with it because everything that happens in the body comes down to like these electrical signals and stuff, and AI when tapped in, and there's all kind of scary stuff going on. You talk about Neuralink and things like that. Like I don't
Right.
know that I want people like putting probes in my brain and things like that. But what it's
I don't want
been
to be the
able,
first one.
huh?
I don't want to be the first guy.
I don't want to be it's scary to be the billionth per. You know what I'm saying? Like it just it depends on who has the keys to the kingdom. Like you know what I'm saying? Who is on the other side of the input that's coming? That's coming this way. If it's Elon Musk, I don't want it, bro. I don't want. It. He might have some evil Doctor Evil plans and stuff like that. So I'm not interested in that. Specifically Neuralink, there was a video of a dude who he's a paraplegic. He can't talk either. What they were able to do by putting these probes into his mind, which map the actual synapses inside of his brain, this
Hmm.
dude created a video. He's using Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, one of those. The thing could pick up it can take this. It took signals from his brain and turned it into where he is able to narrate in his old voice. He narrated the video, and if you've ever tried to edit in Premiere Pro or anything like that, that joint is not easy. He did it all with his mind. Like it's mind boggling to think that if you can move things around in the computer to create an incredible video, what else are you going to be able to do when man and machine, it's called transhumanism, but when man and machine kind of become one, it is
So hold on. So you saying you not taking the chip, bro? You're not taking it. You're not taking the
I'm
red
not saying
pill.
I'm not saying that definitively, because here's the problem. And this is the existential problem with AI, and why it's just being pushed and pushed and pushed, and there's not enough of people going and saying, okay, what could go wrong here? If China, it gets further than us, it's game over. Like, from a geopolitical perspective, it's everybody. It's game theory. Everybody is in a race to be the absolute best. Take that back to what you were just talking about in terms of the chip. If all of the people who are my contemporaries decide, yo, you know what, chip me up, they start to get smarter. They start to be able to move faster. They start to become more productive. I fall behind if I don't do it. So
Right.
I'm not
So
saying
you're
yes.
gonna do it. So yeah, you going with you going with the crowd. You're gonna have to, or you're gonna get left
I,
behind.
I'm not saying that definitively.
All right. Well, I'm saying I ain't gonna. I wouldn't be the first to volunteer. I want some. I want some study cases. You know what I'm saying? Some cases that I can look at, and then I can say, you know what? Okay, at this time, I would mess with it because they tried that one on enough people, and they already messed up some people. If they had to, it probably it'll probably be safe by the time I'm like, all right, I'll mess with it. Because like you
But once
said, I
once
mean,
there's somebody on the other side with some method to send things into your head. It's like, I
but
mean, the main.
listen, people could do. They're doing that already. There's a method to send things into your head now,
I'm not
right?
sure what.
Your TV, well, it's not exactly the same, but if you ever heard that quote, your thoughts are not your own.
Touche.
We're programmed already.
100%.
So it's just a different way of being programmed. I'm not saying that that's cool. I'm just saying let's not act like we're not already being programmed because we are.
We are
So
100% programmed. The algorithms that run AI, they understand human beings better than human beings understand themselves. Rhythms that the reason why people are not able to put their phone down is because they have been programmed to pick it up over and over and over again. And these systems are designed to into all of our neurochemicals to make us do a specific thing. That infinite scroll, it's we're hardwired to say, wow, I want to scroll some more. You get likes on social media. Oh my goodness, I want some more of those. It keeps you coming back. So the algorithms are already programming us to your point. Now imagine when there's something that is a direct link into your brain. There's a lot of promise in it, but it's a lot of dangers as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definite. I would not go to Elon Musk right now and have him put. Well, obviously, I don't need it. Give thanks, right? But I'll tell you the truth. My son, I had to think about that for like my son. He was in a car accident and he got a traumatic brain injury in a car
Mm.
accident. So I had to think about, well, what could help him to regain certain movements? You know what I mean? That's a deeper
Mm-hmm.
thought. Would I allow them to? Well, obviously, I would want to talk to him. I want to be at an age where I'm like, yo, do you want to, you know, do you want to do this thing? But also, he's not at the point where I've seen certain people that they were doing it for, where they couldn't speak at all. You know what I mean? Or they couldn't
Yeah.
move at all. So
Right.
that's even still a certain level. You know what I mean? If you can't speak at all, you can't, like, say you're paraplegic, like that guy that was Stephen
Christopher Reeve
Hawkins
or Stephen Hawkins.
or Christopher Reeve, right? But Stephen Hawkins, I think, was a little, I'm not gonna say worse. I'm not gonna put it on a line of worse or better, but he couldn't even talk, right? He had to talk through that, whatever that was, whatever that machine was. He was already talking through a machine, right? So if you're that, that in that situation, you might say, well, what do you have to lose?
I can see that. I certainly can see that, and I imagine the guy that I mentioned that created that video, like, he doesn't feel useless. Like, not that anybody who is in that scenario is useless, but I can imagine you just like you need people to help you with everything. This gives him some agency. You know what I'm saying? He could create, like, it was dope. You know what I mean? What he put together. And so to give people that level of agency, that is the positive side of this. This is angels and demons, bro. It's good. There are. I often tell people I am fascinated and terrified by what's to come in regard to AI, robotics, and all the other emerging technologies.
Yeah, no, that's key. I want to just get the quote exactly right that I was speaking about. That kind of led us here. So, so it says AI simulated 500 million years of evolution to create a brand new fluorescent protein. EFP is what it is, and this could be huge in medicine and bioengineering. That's where that kind of where I got that idea about or thinking about how AI is going to be able to or is already influencing the medical field. Because I don't know, have you ever heard of CRISPR? You heard of CRISPR before, right?
Absolutely. These again, we don't know. You know what I mean? So somebody in their basement can create some type of bacteria that's worse than freaking COVID. Like, so it's way worse than COVID. Oh, it is AI is powering people's ability to operate in all of these areas. So AI is just one emerging technology, but it's tapped into robots. It's tapped into the Internet of Things. It's tapped into now biotechnology, which is CRISPR technology, CRISPR tech, CRISPR 9. So I forgot what what the whole thing of it is. But for anybody who hasn't heard about it before, this is the technology where eventually people are going to be creating like designer babies and stuff. You'll have the ability to say, my baby's going to have blue eyes. Oh, my baby's going to be tall. My baby's going to be a little bit extra strong.
But now the caveat is how they selling it to you is that yeah, that those are the things that the vanity things that people want to get into. But what about okay, we can detect if the baby is gonna have a autism, if the baby's
Yes.
gonna have some kind of malnormality. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have this, that, or the
Well, with CRISPR, they can make sure that the baby will not have those things. They can look at
right.
the time the I don't know exactly how it works, but in terms of when the egg is fertilized or prior to fertilization, they can ensure that whatever traits or genes might be associated with certain diseases and stuff can be pulled out. So
Right, they can eliminate that.
that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Right. So that says something really different than oh well, I want my kid to have green eyes. You know what I'm saying? As far as selling it to the people.
It's both and like it's with right now the paraplegic guy is making videos, but that same exact technology that has his brain wired is the same technology that might allow somebody else to now not just have their brain wired but connect their brain to various different types of robotics in their body. People
Well,
their arm off and they're having
that's we know that's coming. That's on TV. That's Bucky. That we just sort of we watching movies about that right now. You know
it's
the what's that? Not
life.
Expendables, maybe Expendables. The Thunderbolts.
I didn't see it yet, so don't tell me.
I didn't see it either. But Bucky, I don't know if you watch Marvel stuff, but Bucky,
I watched
he
all of it.
had his arm.
I said I watch all of it. Yeah, right
Okay,
now,
so
right.
he already
He
had a
got the
missing arm.
he got the joint from Wakanda. His arm he got now.
He got the vibranium.
He
He
got
got
the
the new vibranium upgrade. Yeah.
yeah yeah man.
But
People's
that's what we're talking about, right? Imagine you got the, you know, okay, you didn't get it for so-called vanity, right? It's a prosthetic arm, right? Think about it. Yeah, that's a movie. Yeah, he was this, that, or the third, and we made him the Winter Soldier. But think about it in reality as somebody who lost their arm and they're able to get a prosthetic arm that functional. You know what I
I
mean?
have a I have a post on my Instagram, JT Possibilities. Go check it out. I got a post on my Instagram of a dude who got this black, like it's not quite muscular and everything like like Bucky's joint. He's set like it fingers and everything. He you know
I
what I
think I
mean?
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he has that. I I literally I think I just had something up with regard to Amazon and their robots, and Amazon with their robots having the ability like almost where they can feel. It's where was it? I was in Perplexity, one of my other AI tools that I be using. I
Right.
wasn't signed in, so I can't go back. I can't go
Well,
back to
on
it.
that
Wasn't
note, while you're looking for that, on that note, China's China's going full sci-fi investing 20 billion into AI-powered humanoid robots.
Yeah.
These bots are set to hit manufacturing floors and replace manual labor at scale. This is not a drill, right?
No.
Have you seen some of the, you know that guy Kai Cenat, right?
Well, who?
Kai Cenat, he's a streamer. Kai Cenat.
I've heard the name before, but I'm not sure. Like I haven't looked.
He's a pretty popular streamer, right? He bought one. He bought a Chinese robot for, I think he said he paid like, did he say 70,000? Something like that?
These things was going to be 300,000 and crazy like that. Like 70,000, that's the price of a car, and people are going to be able to purchase that. Like if you remember the Jetsons, showing my age,
Rosie.
like people are going to have their Rosies in the crib, and it's happening in our lifetime. This is not some far and away land. This is 3,
This
5,
is the next, yeah.
next 10 years. But we got to be scared. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share. Actually, let me share this right now. I pulled it up, and of course I don't have my system settings right. All right, I guess I can't pull it up, but because I don't feel like figuring out these system settings. I got a new computer coming tomorrow. Fortunately, I'm gonna be looking crispy in the next episode for sure.
All right, because
But
yeah, you're a little pixelated right now.
did you
I don't
see
know
the
if that
robot?
was your, okay. What'd you say?
Did you see the robot? Oh, you couldn't hear me
No, you
when
were
I was
going in and out, but you're a little pixelated.
I
Yeah,
was
you're a little
trying to share the
pixelated.
screen. I don't know why it's giving me issues, but
Uh,
there was the robot that the dudes was fixing the robot, and it just started like spazzing out and acting crazy. You see the joint?
no, I didn't see that. Okay.
I'll send I'll send you the link to add to the show notes. But this robot, it's these two guys, and they're trying to handle the robot, and it's hooked up, and it just starts throwing arms and all kind of things to that effect. So it looked like the start of the Killer Robots, man.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, computers glitch out all the time. You know, early Teslas would do that ghost stopping, ghost braking.
Hmm.
I remember when it happened to me a couple times. I was in a different Tesla and I'm driving and it just hit the brakes. What the hell? What's going on? So it was ghost braking. They, kind of fixed that. I haven't had that issue in quite a while, but it happened. You know what I mean? Your computer does. I mean, AI models right now are hallucinating. So yeah, some stuff is going to be there. Obviously, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Some of these robots, though, I mean, that's why I think some of them they're making them certain size. Like the one that I saw that dude Castanet bought was pretty short. It was like 3 feet,
Yeah, it's
three,
it, it's
four
it,
feet.
it's. I mean, it still can be strong as hell at 3 4 feet, but um it's less intimidating. You know what I'm saying? Like if you
Oh
got a
yeah.
sick, robot, and you like, yo, can you bring me my you know my bring me a beer? And it'd be like, no. You'd be like, what? Like, no. Like I said, bring me a beer, and they come and punch you in the face or something. Like it is we are, yeah. I It is interesting times, man. That is
You
all I
probably
can say.
might want to be more scared of those robot dogs. You ever seen that Black Mirror episode?
That joint was wild. And New York City has those now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And some places, and you could tell people not to put weapons on them and things to that effect, but they are going to do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the same way you could jailbreak phones, you're gonna be able to jailbreak those things as well. And now they've been used in a building falls down on somebody, and they're using those to get sift through the rubble and things to that effect to save people's lives. But at the same time, this speedy fast thing can come and shoot something at you that traps you, or something to that effect. So for all of the good, there's a bad, and we just got to keep looking at both sides. One of the reasons why it's important for me to start to talk about artificial intelligence and shine light on the various different things that we see is that the more people who understand what's possible here, the more people can rally together to say, "Nah, we're not going to accept that." Like that's not going to be okay. We're not having that part right there. It's just my hope that they're people take this serious, understand that there's been revolutions before, in terms of the industrial revolution, and then you had the information revolution, you had mobile revolution. That this AI is more powerful than all of those. It's built off of all of them, but it's more powerful than all of them as well. It's going to touch everything.
Well, why would you say? Because I have an understanding of that, but why would you say it's more powerful than, let's say, let's start with the Industrial Revolution, right? That's the first revolution as far as how we're talking about revolutions that gave us modern technology, modern society. Why do you think this is more game changing than something like that? The train, you know,
Because a train, when it came out, it couldn't drive itself. Like you needed a human being to drive the train. A mobile phone, it's only as powerful as the user. The user has to make it happen. Artificial intelligence and agents, they can do things themselves. They can do it anonymous.
right? But they're only doing what you tell them to do, no?
No, not necessarily. It's there's already been mad cases of AIs that where you want to somebody goes to they say they tell the AI they're going to shut it down. Like part of the testing is they tell it to they're going to shut it down, and the AI in terms of the communication back starts to lie in order to stay alive. Like
Mm,
in order to stay
right.
on, it doesn't want to get turned off, and so it starts to say things in order to have people stay. We don't know what's going on inside the box. I don't know if you saw that call. There were like it was one AI called another AI, and they both, which this is one of the laws or rules I think should be in place 100%. Like they should not be allowed to impersonate without acknowledging who they are. If OpenAI, if they're creating, whoever's creating these various different voice agents, it should have to say that it is a voice agent, so that it's not copying my voice, calling my mother, and saying that I've been kidnapped and send me $50,000 or something to that effect. So
Which
these
people are
ones,
doing
they
already
both announced that they were AI agents, and he said, "Oh, would you like to communicate
in a different language, in their own AI language."
something that we can't begin to even understand. We don't know why it does everything that it does.
Right.
The opportunity that for this to get out of control and get out ahead of us, there's a chance there, like it, and the chance is not insignificant.
Right.
So I
So,
mean that answers the question just from the danger perspective, but from the power perspective, it's what I said before about emerging technologies coming together at the same time and making each one making the other more powerful. So when you put AI inside a robot, those two together are more powerful than they would be apart. When you put AI inside of the metaverse, it's more powerful in that it can replicate itself inside the metaverse. Now you have bunches of AI running around with people inside the metaverse.
right. So basically, the Matrix.
Yeah, the beginnings of that
It's the
are
Matrix,
it's the beginnings of the Matrix are being created as
or have been created already, and are continuing to be upgraded,
when you think about when you
developed.
think about we have the metaverse, and then we have what we just described with dude who has his brain tapped in to Neuralink and can do all of these various different things. That's just one individual. When you do that at scale, and there's people and AIs all kind of interacting with one another, we can't begin to fathom the possibilities of what's going to be created. Just like when cars got created, you don't think that Henry Ford, he couldn't imagine a Tesla. Like Wilbur and Orville Wright, they couldn't imagine a stealth bomber. Like they just got stuff started, and they couldn't imagine like where we've taken it, and the speed at which everything is happening now is much faster. Like I've heard a number of people say that in the next 10 years we'll have more change than we had in the last 100 years. And so if you took somebody who, from 100 years ago, my grandmother passed away, a couple of years ago in her 90s. So when she was born, her life expectancy was only I don't know, 50, 60, whatever. She wound up, outpacing that significantly. But if you took her, way back then, and you just, without having the kind of, she got to see, oh, there's phones, oh, there's TVs, all this color, all this. Like it happens slowly. But if you took somebody from back then and you just dropped them into today, they would lose their shit immediately. Like, what the? It's everything. It's like, what is everything? They would not understand how to interact in the world at all. And over the course of the next 10 years, I think that we cannot fathom the incredible and terrible changes that are going to occur.
Yeah, well, I can. Well, hopefully not too terrible, but
I
keep
wouldn't.
hope alive.
I think it's
Say
going to be
again.
both. I think it's going
Well,
to be both.
well,
That's the
yeah,
times.
it's definitely going to be both to a certain extent. But we got nuclear weapons. At least they used it once, as far as on purpose, at least, and haven't used it again that we know about purposefully. You know what I mean? And everybody kind of said, "Hey, you know what? If we're going to be able to mutually, if we're assured of mutual destruction, maybe we shouldn't do that." You know what I
That
mean?
only that only works if everybody is not batshit crazy. Like if there's people out there who have who believe that death is going to lead them to a better place, which there's plenty of people out there who want to do that in all the various different religions, whether it's Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. In all those major religions, there are religious zealots who believe we need the holy war. And so if any of them get power and access to these powerful tools, who knows what they do with them. And the other thing, once again, is that AI with nuclear weapons, somebody has to press the button. With AI, you don't necessarily need somebody to press the button. It can act on its own in ways that we do not currently fully understand.
Do you think that it might just act better than us because it's more supposed to be more intelligent?
I
That
hope so.
even if it acted, it would be acting in a way that is of intelligence, and you would say maybe intelligence has a preserving quality to a certain extent.
I've heard that argument before, and I would like to believe that, like that it's that, like I hope that that is the case. But even that is there's weirdness in it. Like people, they were like, what do you think of an ant? You don't think of an ant. We're so much more the superior intelligence and stuff. And people said that where this thing is going is maybe AI won't even think of us. Like we'll be like the ant because it will be so much more intelligent than we are, that it might not think of us as much of anything.
Well, I think intelligent people do think about ants, right? I think about ants, right? If you look at what they are able to accomplish through a collective, right? You have different types of ants, but they're able to create societies and phenomenal architecture. And they're able to carry, so much, they're able to build so much with a collective mindset that I think very intelligent people they study ants. It's ignorant people who don't care about ants. You know what I mean?
I take your point, and I guess I don't want to devolve into a conversation about ants. It's less about, yes, we think I admire them in that regard, their strength, their sense of community, all of the things that they do, but on a day-to-day basis, it's not a notion that we pay a lot of attention to. So I was just using them as an example and almost just regurgitating what others have stated about the possibility that AI gets so smart, general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, it just gets to a point where people have said ants or cats, or like where.
Well, you know what's funny? Hold on one second. What's funny is somebody said something on that same podcast I was referring to, Diary of a CEO. They were saying, well, maybe the AI will treat us like pets. And
I've heard that.
if you look at how people treat pets nowadays,
Yeah,
it's not a bad life.
better than humans sometimes.
A lot of times, I'm looking at them, they're looking at them like kids, like they're babies. You know what I mean? I remember where the pet food was a scratch from the table, right? And now there's designer pet food. Dogs are wearing booties on their feet, jackets, and they have Instagrams.
Yeah,
So maybe maybe people need to be treated like pets to a certain extent because maybe the AI is smart enough to see that a lot of people are really well, maybe let's say it like this: a lot of people that at least are put in front of us in the Western world that we live in tend to seem to be selfish and looking for self gratification amongst, as their major objective, whether it be through their fanaticism as far as religion, whatever it is, but it's really self-centered. My religion says this, and therefore I am right, and then everybody should follow this,
Yeah,
which is usually not the most intelligent people that you see. The scientists, I mean, everybody can have that, but the most intelligent people you see usually have a trait of asking questions versus just making statements. You know what I mean? They'll quest on why is this like this and why this person act like this versus saying, no, God, you're the devil. And because you're the devil, that's why you act like that. So
yeah,
really we need to just burn you. You know what I mean? That's not a very intelligent person. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's not the scientists of back in the days even. The Galileos or so on and so forth. Not saying they didn't have their obviously they had their things too. But generally speaking, those were the zealots, who weren't studied, who would just go into would descend into that type of mentality. Hopefully, and that's one of the things that I always said that I got from that dude. This is Modat. Go that book I sent you, Scary Smart. I can't
Right.
pronouncing his
He's
name.
super bright dude. So he also has he's an optim like I'm an optimist. Like as a rule, like I'm an insatiable, optimist, and I want to be
Hmm.
impactful in this space and utilizing AI to expand said impact. But he also acknowledges that oftentimes humans are a weak link in terms of how things are going to go. Right now there's a very small amount of companies that own almost all of these models, and that in and of itself again
Well,
is
let
dangerous.
me ask you something then, because you said if China gets ahead of us, from what I got, the connotation was that it's a problem. You know what I mean? But I kind of looked at it like when they revealed Deep Seek, I looked at it like I had to take a different look from what they were trying to coerce me to see. Because it was fair. Oh, China. Well, why am I scared that they put together an open source model? Oh, well, they don't know what they're gonna do with your data. What are you doing with my data? Right? I don't
Yeah,
trust you.
yeah. 100%.
I mean,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah. What do you say about that?
I think it's noted. I think that a couple things. One, sharpens iron. So competition. There are values in competition. I think that there's a way higher value in collaboration. But we as human beings and countries and empires and things to that effect, we want the most for our people.
Right. Real quick note, because they were talking about this. I was listening to some people talking about this as well. The funny thing is that even though we're talking about China as a country and the US as a country, they say 40% of people developing AI are Chinese
Probably.
in general, regardless if they're in
Yeah.
China or if they're in America.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's mathematical minds. Are often the people who are best at creating these models and learning how to tune them and things to that effect. Oftentimes that is something that they press. More than we, and then they just have way more people. You know what I'm saying? They have you know 4 5 times as many people. You know what I'm saying as we have here, if not, if about 5 times as many people as we have. So they have more programmers to do it. Now we tend to have more of the art and the science. So we have some super duper smart people who are working on AI. Then we can have be more artful about what we wind up creating with AI. They tend to have a more you know rigid understanding of they're not always as intuitive. You know what I mean? And that's just it's different cultures. So that can have an impact on who wins the AI race. I wish there was a way we could again look at it as a way to cooperate, but that's just not what we do. Is everybody seeks power, and so they artificial intelligence is going to be used in war. And already is being used in cyber attacks and things to that effect. So the people who do that the best will have a leverage over whomever does it not as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Sometimes I don't want to take that as a given because I feel that it's stupid. It's
Which
like,
part?
okay, we're going back to self-assured destruction. It's better to work together, but we can't do that because everybody's trying to get ahead of each other. Maybe the people that want you to think that are selling that story because they want to keep their positions at the top of this faulty pyramid, right? One thing they say about China is, you know what? China never invaded anybody. In the thousands of years of history of China, they never invaded anybody. You know what I mean? Other than can't say that about a lot of other countries. You know what I mean? If you go back to you talking about Confucianism, talking about Buddhism, talking about the things that they were thinking about the thousands of years of Chinese history. You know, I mean, right now it's a different. It's what it is. But sometimes I feel like they're trying to sell us something that is not necessarily or doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Well, everybody's gonna do it because they all need to get by, and we all want to get ahead. And I understand it, but it's stupid. It's stupid. You want to get, it's like this whole, well, what are people going to do when they can't work? What are you talking about? They act like people came out in history or the essence of man when they first became Homo sapiens or whatever you want to call it, if you believe that. They were like, I gotta go to work. Hey,
Well,
wait a
we
minute.
need to figure out what people are going to do. Like we need significantly better stories about what life is all about, because people have been sold that bill of goods that work is where you go to find value, and there's something to be said about work ethic and things to that effect, but we don't have a good story for the 3 million plus truck drivers and cab drivers and Uber drivers and all of those people that when autonomous vehicles are ubiquitous and all over the place. Like what are they do need to figure something else out to do, or we need to figure out some type of universal basic income. And our current body
Quick
politic, and
question.
we're going in another direction here, but our current body politic, they don't know how to answer these questions in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Can I ask you a quick question? Have you really met an Uber driver who really wanted to be an Uber driver?
Not that I don't think so. No.
Right. So
But what
the
are they
thing
gonna
is
do?
that, generally
Like,
speaking, hmm?
what are they gonna do for money?
Right. But that's the whole thing. They're doing it just for money. They don't want to do it.
Right. But
They're not
throughout the,
doing it for the love.
I don't think that people in when farming and agriculture in the early 1900s, when farming and agriculture, when that was what 70-80% of the country did, I don't think everybody wanted to get up at the crack of dawn and 6 to 7 days a week, till the land and all of that stuff. But they did it so they could eat.
And but but
That's
that's you know what? And that was certain people. Because certain people, before you had farming, what did you have? What did they do?
Well, I mean, it's before we were, like agriculture. It was hunter gatherer. Um,
Right. So if you hunted and gathered, depending on where you're at,
but we're not
you
going
might not
back.
have to do much.
We're not going back to that. That ship has sailed. So now,
No, but
in
you don't have to go back to that, but you can go back to that, is what I'm really saying. Like, listen, I remember I was in Jamaica and I was at my family's house in Jamaica when we had it, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the trees around. I'm looking, I'm like, yo, what is this? There's trees, there's a bunch of these trees. What do these trees have? They have fruits on them. This particular fruit was ackee. Are you familiar with ackee?
yeah,
National
goes
food
with
of
all this.
Jamaica. So much, so plentiful, just falling on the floor and take it back to the ants. That's who was eating it. Because there was so much of it. It just fall, hit the floor, and the ants was eating it. I started picking some, make breakfast. There's a grapefruit tree over here. I'll pick a couple grapefruits. take that in. There was an avocado tree over here. Got some avocados. You know what I mean? Bought a couple things. But as I looked at it, it came to a realization. There's a song where it said, what was it called? It was like pave over paradise and put up a parking lot. Because there's abundance. And depending sometimes on where you're at, but we've been trained that there's not abundance. That you have to go get this because this is not there and you don't have this. That's not everybody's experience. Some people's experience is total abundance. And in that case, they have to do the opposite of what other people have to do. Figure out how to not let that abundance, when you can eat all the candy in the candy store, then that's on you now to say, well, maybe that's not a good idea. I know I can do it. But you know what? I tried it one time and I got sick. So I don't think eating all this candy is a good idea. Maybe once in a while I have a piece or what have you. And that it goes into the self-restraint when you can have everything you want at your fingertips.
Yeah,
And I think, and I was getting this, that was actually a line that I'm taking from somebody else. I don't remember who it is at the moment, but what do you do when you're dealing with abundance? When you can create anything at the drop of a hat.
that is the
You
that
don't
is
need
the
to. Go ahead.
that is the direction that we are going. I think that that's a whole episode in and of itself. Abundance and AI, I think, can be the next joint that we do. But the reality is that our institutions have to catch up with the mindset and the spirit of abundance, and our current set of institutions, which are very bureaucratic and very stuck in their ways. They are very much scarcity mindset. We as a people, technology abled people, need to be understanding how we going to utilize artificial intelligence to bring about that abundant living writ large for more people. We got a long way to go and a lot of things to do before that becomes a reality.
Well, we're part of the We're having the conversations now, plain talk, so that people could get some direction on that. And just a quick note. It says that I gotta. There's a blurb here. The World Economic Forum predicts AI will create 97 million jobs by next year, even as it displaces 85 million. Net positive if we're ready.
Send me that. I would love to peel back the onion of what that is, because what we have to recognize is that when we shipped all of so many jobs over to Asia and to China and other places, overall over here we did wind up with a net job increases. The economy increased. We got cheaper stuff, but for the
And we
people,
got richer as well.
huh?
And the country got richer.
Country got richer, but that did not help the people in the industrial Midwest who got wiped out and their factories got wiped out.
because
Things to that effect. So,
because the mentality of the people that got the money basically said F them.
right,
That's what happened.
and that is what we have to find a way to avoid during this next. So it could be that there are more jobs, and that there that these people, are I'm coming up as a result.
Well, listen, that's part of why when DeepSeek came out, I was like, oh, that's good. You know why? Because they made it open source, right?
You said
OpenAI was
when what came out?
DeepSeek, the
Oh, okay.
Chinese
Yeah.
AI
Mm-hmm.
large language
Yeah.
model.
So even that, Llama is open source,
Llama
but
is open source as well, right?
most people aren't taking those open source and then moving it to their machine. It's still in the cloud. You still have to operate through their user interface. You don't have to, but that's
Well, you don't
still the
have to.
people. But that's still the way most people are operating with.
Yeah, well, that's most people, but I want the option. I
Touche.
want the option. Don't Yeah, if I feel like, oh, okay, I chose that until I didn't choose that because I did download. I did have certain models. I do actually now have certain models, image creation models on my computer. It's
Okay.
just that I might have to upgrade my computer because it takes forever to generate an
Yeah.
image. So it was like I can't really use
That,
this effectively. right now.
New M4 Pro coming tomorrow. I'm super duper excited. I am gonna look to, and I don't know how to do it, but I'm gonna figure out, how to run. Hopefully, my understanding is that the user interfaces are not necessarily the greatest, and so that it also there's a technical hurdle to come over to be able to do it today. But
Image generation on your machine.
I would do it less for image generation and more just for you know for my own
So
everything.
you wanna build your own model because the ones what I was downloading were certain. Well, they were that.
I wouldn't build my own. Individual people are not really build. That's like
Well,
a
what I mean by that is download a model and then train it to your
yes,
liking. Is
yes,
what I mean by build your own model,
got it, yeah, yeah,
right?
and run it low so that
Right, on your machine.
it never has to touch OpenAI's servers and stuff. Everything that happens on my machine.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, I hear that. But one of my points was that it takes certain things to make things happen. OpenAI is supposed to be open. I remember when it first came up. I was one of the first people that they had a little sign up thing where you could like be part of the thing. Nobody knew about it. This was years ago. You know what I mean? When it was Elon Musk was
Yeah,
one of the ones that started it with
yeah,
Sam Altman,
yeah,
right? And the whole point was to be open AI. It wasn't even really specific. It was just like open. We want artificial intelligence to be open and everybody. And I was like, all right, let's see what that's about. Didn't hear nothing for years. And then it was like, oh, and that's why, it was a non-profit. And now they reorganized it to be for profit.
right.
But when, DeepSeek came out and NVIDIA dropped and OpenAI dropped because they were like, wow, China has a cheaper model that's open source now. You know what I mean? Now OpenAI wants to say, oh, we'll show you what's going on in the back end because they never showed that. They never showed
Yeah,
the reasoning.
competition pushes people to to improve, and so that there are reasons and rationale for that. But yeah, like I said, man, I think as we come towards the end, we should really focus in next time on let's focus in on how AI can lead to a more abundant world, and let's give some specific examples. Maybe we'll come ready to pull up whatever videos and things to that effect that might be associated with the point we're trying to make.
All right, that sounds like a plan. So that's your Plain Talk AI update. Um, from $1 trillion tech shifts to AI proteins, robot co-workers coming soon. So rock with us and let's navigate this together to make sure that it unfolds the way it needs to, so that we are not ants and getting crushed like that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Better to be pets.
All right, y'all.
All right. So peace. This is Plain Talk AI, and we're out.